My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm 99 years old, and I wake up each morning surprised that I'm still here, but not confused about why. People always ask me the same question: what did you do to live this long? And before I answer, they usually add something of their own. You must have exercised every day. You must have followed some strict routine. I let them finish. Then I shake my head. Because the truth is, none of the things that added years to my life had anything to do with exercise. I moved, of course. I lived my life, but I never built my days around workouts or plans or systems designed to extend my years. What shaped my life was something quieter, something people overlook because it doesn't look impressive. 6 things, 6 ways of living that I didn't even realize were important until much later. The first one is this: I didn't rush my life. That may sound simple, but it's not, because most people live in a kind of quiet hurry, even when there's no reason to be. I used to be like that. In my 30s and 40s, I moved quickly, always thinking about what came next, what needed to be done, what needed to be fixed. Even when I sat down, my mind didn't. It kept moving, planning, replaying, preparing, and I thought that was normal, part of being responsible, part of being productive. But something changed over time, not all at once, just slowly. I began noticing how that pace felt in my body: tight shoulders, shallow breathing, a kind of constant alertness that never fully turned off. And I realized something. I was living as if something urgent was always about to happen, even when nothing was. So I began slowing down, not dramatically, just enough to feel what I was doing, walking without rushing, eating without thinking about the next task, letting conversations take their time. And that small shift changed something. My body followed that pace. It relaxed more easily. It didn't feel like it had to stay ready all the time. And that matters more than people realize, because a body that is always tense wears down faster than one that knows how to settle. The second thing that added years to my life is this: I didn't carry everything forward. When something happened, something upsetting, something disappointing, I felt it. I didn't ignore it, but I also didn't keep it longer than it needed to stay. That took time to learn. When I was younger, I held on to things, conversations, arguments, moments that didn't go the way I wanted. I would replay them, think about them, carry them into the next day and the next. And every time I did that, I was reliving something that had already ended. My body didn't know the difference. It reacted the same way: tension, stress, a kind of quiet weight. So I began letting things end when they ended, not perfectly, but intentionally. If something was over, I allowed it to stay in the past. That habit made my life lighter. Not easier, just lighter. And a lighter life is easier for the body to carry. The third thing I did was this: I stayed connected to people in small ways, not in a big social way. I was never that kind of person, but I didn't disappear either. I kept small connections alive. A conversation with a neighbor, a phone call with someone I cared about, a visit, even if it was short. Those moments may not look important, but they are, because they remind you that you are still part of something, and that feeling matters more than people admit. I have seen what happens when people slowly disconnect. Not suddenly, gradually. They stop reaching out. They stay home more. They tell themselves they prefer the quiet, and sometimes they do. But there is a difference between peaceful solitude and quiet isolation. Isolation changes the body. It lowers your energy. It softens your voice. It makes your world smaller. I never let my world become too small. Not because I was trying to stay healthy, because I needed connection in a quiet, human way. And that connection kept something inside me alive. The fourth thing I did, that one took me longer to understand because it didn't look like a health habit at all, but it affected everything. If this already feels familiar to you, even a little, then you're closer to understanding it than most people. The fourth thing that added years to my life is something I didn't understand until I was already in my 60s. And even then, I didn't have a name for it at first. I just noticed the difference. The difference between people who were constantly drained and people who seemed to carry themselves with a quiet kind of steadiness. The difference was this: I stopped trying to control everything. When I was younger, I believed control was necessary. You plan ahead. You think through every possibility. You try to prevent problems before they arrive. You prepare for what might go wrong. And for a long time, I lived that way, careful, alert, always thinking a few steps ahead. It made me feel responsible. It made me feel prepared. But it also kept something inside me tight. Because when you try to control everything, your mind never rests. There is always something else to consider, something else to manage, something else that could go differently than you expect. And that constant readiness becomes a kind of tension, not loud, not dramatic, but steady. And the body feels that, even when you don't notice it. I remember a moment clearly. I was sitting alone one evening, nothing urgent happening, nothing wrong, and yet my body felt tense, as if it was waiting for something. And I realized something very simple. Nothing is happening, but I'm still bracing. That's when it became clear. The tension wasn't coming from life. It was coming from how I was holding life. So I began letting go of that need to control everything. Not completely. You still have responsibilities. You still make decisions. But I stopped trying to manage what hadn't happened yet. I stopped trying to solve problems before they existed. And I learned to trust something I hadn't trusted before, that I would handle things when they came, not before. That shift changed something deep inside me. My body relaxed more often. My breathing slowed. My mind stopped running ahead all the time. And that kind of calm stays with you. It doesn't come from effort, it comes from release. The fifth thing that added years to my life is this. I learned how to be content with enough. This one may be the hardest for people to accept because we are taught to want more success, more comfort, more progress, more of everything. And there is nothing wrong with wanting a better life, but there is a quiet line between building something and never feeling like what you have is enough. For many years, I lived just on the edge of that line. I was always reaching, not desperately, but constantly, thinking about what could be improved, what could be added, what would make life feel more complete. And that constant reaching created something I didn't recognize at first, a kind of quiet dissatisfaction, not unhappiness, just a feeling that something was always missing. And if you live with that feeling long enough, it becomes your normal. Even when your life is stable, even when things are good. So I began practicing something different. Not gratitude in the way people talk about it, not forced appreciation, just noticing what is already here, what is already enough. A meal that satisfies me, a conversation that feels real, a day that passes without anything going wrong. Simple things, but real. And the more I noticed those things, the less I felt like I was chasing something. The less I felt like life was incomplete. And that shift created a kind of peace. Because when you feel like what you have is enough, your body stops reaching. It stops straining. It settles. And that settling is where longevity grows. Not in excitement, not in achievement, in steadiness. The sixth thing I did is something most people don't think about at all. I didn't make my life harder than it needed to be. That may sound obvious, but people do it all the time. They overcomplicate things. They take on more than they can carry. They fill their days with things that drain them, not because they have to, because they believe they should. I watch this happen over and over again. People saying yes when they wanted to say no. Taking on responsibilities that didn't belong to them. Trying to meet expectations that didn't come from their own life. And slowly, they became tired. Not just physically, deeply tired. Because they were living a life that required constant effort to maintain. I didn't live that way. Not perfectly, but intentionally. If something felt like too much, I stepped back. If something didn't belong to me, I let it go. If something complicated my life without adding value, I removed it. That kept my life simpler, not empty, just manageable. And a manageable life is easier for the body to carry. At 99, I see these 6 things clearly now. But when I was younger, they were just choices, small ones, repeated over time. And those small choices shaped everything. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly. And by the time I reached my 80s and 90s, I could feel the result. Not in a dramatic way, but in how my days felt. lighter, steadier, more settled. But there is one more part of this, something that ties all 6 things together, something that explains why they matter as much as they do. If this made you pause for even a moment, you're already starting to see what most people overlook. By the time I reached my 90s, I stopped thinking about what I had done right. I started noticing something else, how my life felt. That is the part most people miss when they think about longevity. They focus on what they do, what they eat, how they move, what they add. But they don't ask the quieter question, how does my life feel from the inside? Because that feeling is what your body lives with every day. Not your plans, not your intentions, not your occasional efforts, your daily experience. And that daily experience shapes everything over time. When I look back now, I don't see those 6 things as separate habits. I see them as one way of living, a way that did not create constant strain, a way that did not keep my body in a state of tension, a way that allowed things to settle again and again. That's what added years to my life. Not something I did once, something I returned to every day without even realizing it. I didn't rush my life, so my body didn't stay rushed. I didn't carry everything forward, so my body didn't stay burdened. I stayed connected to people, so I didn't become withdrawn or closed off. I let go of control so my mind could rest. I learned to be content with enough, so I didn't live in constant dissatisfaction. And I didn't make my life harder than it needed to be, so I wasn't exhausted all the time. Those things may not sound like health advice, but they are, because health is not something separate from your life. It is the result of how your life is lived every single day. There is something else I understand now that I didn't understand when I was younger. The body does not need perfection. It needs relief. Relief from constant tension. Relief from constant pressure. Relief from carrying too much for too long. Most people don't give their bodies that relief. They move from one thing to the next, one responsibility to another, one worry to the next. And even when they rest, they are still holding something inside, still thinking, still carrying, still bracing, and the body never fully resets. But when you live the way I did, without always rushing, without always caring, without always reaching, your body gets moments of real rest. Not just sleep, real rest. Moments where nothing is pulling at you. Nothing is demanding your attention. Nothing needs to be solved right away. Those moments matter more than people realize, because that is when the body recovers. That is when it settles back into balance. And when you give your body those moments consistently, it continues. Not perfectly, but steadily. At 99, I don't think about how many years I have lived. I think about how those years felt, and they felt manageable. Not easy, but not overwhelming either. There is a difference. A manageable life is one your body can carry for a long time. An overwhelming life wears you down faster than anything else. That is the truth I wish more people understood earlier. You don't need to add something extraordinary to your life to live longer. You need to stop making your life harder than it needs to be. That is what most people learn too late. They spend years adding more without realizing they are also adding more weight, more pressure, more strain, and eventually the body responds to that. Not immediately, but over time. Always over time. If I could sit with someone younger, I wouldn't give them a list. I would tell them something simpler. Pay attention to what your life feels like while you are living it, because that feeling is shaping your future right now, not later, not someday, today. And if you can make your days feel lighter, even in small ways, your body will follow. It always does. If this meant something to you, even quietly, then you already understand more than you think.